Why hello and welcome back to another episode of Voice of the Rings. I'm your hosting guide, Zollin Ironshield, and this is the Rise to War guide today, my friends. I want to give you a quick rundown. If you have an account that you are not paying, you're not buying anything, you're just free to play on Rise to War, and you just want to know what should you choose between, if you have a gold piece of armor, should you use it, or should I use a purple item that's been upgraded multiple times, okay? So let me just quickly do a rundown of why this matters and what the difference is. This is my alt account. This is not my main account. This is my account Zollin, so it's my alt account. I love it. I've put a tiny bit of money into it, maybe like $20, something like that. Okay, so pretty much everything I have, I've just gotten with the free daily rolls, and I've only played like 3 seasons with this account. So if I had played every season, it would have a lot more, right? So the longer you play for the account, the better you're going to have stuff. So the question is today for our guide video is, what is better? Is it better to put a single gold item you have with no upgrades and no refines? Okay, what does that mean? The difference between upgrades and refines. So everything can be strengthened and refined. I'm going to go away for a second. So in the bottom right there, you can see there's strengthened. You can strengthen. It gives you a silver star. And as you strengthen, you need more and more of any type of whatever helmet it is, for example here. Okay, so it matters what type, right? So if it was a chest piece, it would be a chest piece. If it's an accessory, you'd have to have an accessory to upgrade it. And if it was a weapon, it would have to be a weapon upgrade. Okay, so those are your 4 kinds of things. Again, you can see this with any commander in the bottom right here, right? Let's show one that doesn't have armor on. Okay, so maybe this one. See, we have a weapon slot, we have a chest piece armor slot, a head slot is technically called helmet, and an accessory slot. Okay, so those are what you have to remember there. But now the question is it better? What is better to use? Okay, so as you can see here, again, since this is completely a free-to-play account, my Haldir is one of my best characters on this account, and you can see I have 2 gold items I'm using. Why am I using these 2 gold items over purple? That is, again, the question we are going to answer right now in detail. So I had to do that little bit of preference, when that's not the word I'm looking for, you know, give you the story ahead of time, okay? I got to do the premise, right, of what we need to talk about here. So now that you know that, you're going, well, Zollin, how do we choose? First you need to go on your character, you need to decide what stats they need, obviously. But then you need to go into your items, all right? The best way to do this, again, is just to go on a character you don't really have anything on. And you're like, okay, I'm going to be using Merry and Pippin. I'm not going to be using it for my account. But yours, let's say you have respected Merry and Pippin and you want to use them, okay? So the first things is you need to go into your skills, and you need to look at what you have. If you only have tier 1, you're only going to be able to use the first tree. Let's say you have tier 5, okay? Though it's your main character on free to play and you put all the respect into them. Go through and see what do they do, all right? Make sure. So again, you can see right here, we have one that says it is modified by focus, okay? So we know that Merry and Pippin are good. And again, I'll have some guide videos in each commander and stuff here on this playlist. But you know, they heal their units. Okay, so this is a modified by focus. Look for this. Look for what it's modified by to kind of learn what a character does, okay? Allies reduces allies damage increase. So this is a buffing one, right? They heal their units and they buff, you know, okay, their allied units. What's this one do? Okay, this one's for tips and not very great for this one if you want to. So again, this, you can see here, they want to go into focus if you were going to put stuff into this pipeweed one, but you lose your might. But that's okay because they're not really designed to be a might character. That's why that's there. So pretty much Harfoot is kind of just a utility tree. It's not really something you're going to be putting points into. So keep looking and say, okay, well, this one's just some flat buffs. Doesn't have, not modified by anything, not modified. Oh, look at this. They're Palantirs. This thing, see, modified by focus. Okay, so now we have 2 main things that are 2 things that are modified by focus, okay? Oh, look at Wild Magic modified by focus. Okay, do you kind of get the point here? You kind of get it? Okay, so now that you know that, you're like, well, I need gear. All my 4 pieces need to be something that modifies focus. That's what I need to look for, and it looks like they're more of a buff your troops, right, kind of commander. And as we can see here, they're also support commander, which, guess what? At level 20, they get plus 25 focus and plus 5 skill points, okay? So again, focus. So now we're going to go in here and we're going to go into all my weapons, even the ones I have equipped. And you can see not too many. This would be like any player's free-to-play account. They'd have a couple blue items, but not a whole lot of anything else. So what I'm doing is, what would be better? Would it be better to use on them this Noldor sword? That's one thing, or this one with 3 upgrades and 1 refine? all right, which one would technically be better? So there's two things you have to think about now when you're doing this. You have to think about the special ability, which is the lower one, which is only ever upgraded, which is the titled named thing, by the refines, okay, which is that commander's normal damage have a 50% chance to deal some physical damage. Or, you know, this one, same thing, they're both refined. Now, upgrades, all right, which one would help better with upgrades? Well, let's see, this one's fully done. It gives the commander 12 might, 12 focus, 8 speed, and units, any elves in their group gets plus 10 speed as well. Not just the commander, but their units get plus 10 too. Now let's look at the Noldor sword. Well, might is 10, focus is 5, speed is 5, men and elves get 1 attack, which is pretty strong. Okay, so now the question is, which one do we want to use? Here's the main point of the video. I always would recommend, if you have just a purple, okay, if you have just a purple by itself, it's always the base stats from strengthenings are always going to be worse than a single gold, okay? But if you can get a purple item up to 3, 4, 5 stars of upgrades, it's usually always going to be preferable early on while you're free to play to use that item on your main character than a gold item. Unless the bottom one is just too perfect, right? Like some special ability you want to use on it. But probably it's not going to help as much as the one giving way better overall stats, okay? Again, you can see here this one gives 12 focus, where this one's only giving 5, right? You can kind of see as I flip between them, okay? So that's kind of what you got to think about with this. Is again, it's a strategy game. It's to give your commanders the right gear, give your army units the right, composing of your right army, composition, right? Now you might be saying, well, what about, a blue item? Well, sometimes the blue item, if you're really early in the game, will be the best. I recommend if you can get a purple item with a couple strengthens, it's usually always going to be better, okay? So, for example, I'm going to equip this one for a second. Now, if you notice, this one gives no focus to the commanders. But it does make your allied melee units do some more damage. So early on in the game, this is still good to have on rather than nothing. Make sure you put equipment on, you guys, on your characters, even if you're free to play, okay? So I'm going to strengthen this one. So as you can see, this one can go up to 4 strengthens. At the 4th one, you need to use a bunch of your weapons here. So I'm going to go ahead and just use some things I don't think I'm going to use. I'm not going to use these orc crossbows, all right? And you notice they are weapons. You have to use weapons to strengthen weapons, like I talked about at the beginning. And you can see it goes up pretty good stats there. So actually, if you had a might character, all right, here's another thing to think about again, all right? If you had a might character, it would be more preferable to be using this weapon. Now I'm going to unequip it for a minute because it loses its stats with familiarity with the commander. We'll talk about that in another guide video you can watch. You have to use the item a little bit and then it goes to full stats. But now we compare full stats. The full one here has 20 might and 15 speed, right? And these cannot be refined. So the bottom stat, melee might, that under one that's only from refines, like I told you, that will only increase on purple and gold items. It will not increase on green and blue. Technically, there is a lower item level. It's green, right? Don't use green. If you're a free-to-play player, just keep rolling your freely day rolls. You will have enough blues, okay, to make your character have blue weapons. All right, the greens are just pretty darn terrible. They're kind of, I would call them like vendor trash. You kind of use them to do other things like impart wisdom to your commanders and like trade in for gold or something. That's what I would use them for most of the time. Imparting wisdom is a good one. But so now that we know this, we want focus for Merry and Pippin, right? So this is really not the ideal item. But would this item technically be better than, let's say, this one? All right, this Elven Dirk without any upgrades, right? So this one has 4 upgrades in it as a blue. This one has no upgrades in it or refines. All right, so if you are a commander that needs focus, and let's say you're using elves, okay, I would still probably go with the Elven Dirk. Just because, yes, the stats are not as good, and it's real close. It's real close. It depends on if you want that Elven buff, and you want that Pierce ability or whatever, right? Because this one's ability, but Again, if it's just a single star, I would probably still go with this blue one. For that brand new account you just started, if you can get a maxed up Ranger's Dagger where your allied melee units are doing more damage and you're giving 15 speed to your commander and 20 might. Now again, Merry and Pippin don't really scale with might. Now if you're a new player, you could choose a different commander you have, right? You could choose Zollin, or you could choose someone who scales with might better, right? Or any other commander. Let's say, what about Boromir? We look at his thing, right? I'm pretty sure he has an ability that scales with might. Let me just look through real quick before I just say it. Yes, there it is right there. Defensive stance it says it's modified by the might stat, and we have, I guess it's just defensive stance. But again, he also has a lot of abilities that he physically does damage himself, where the hobbits really don't. So they're more of healing and supporting their troops, so he would benefit much more from might, okay? Speed is kind of good for everybody. Some characters have a better ability with speed, like a lot of the, people that have mounted stuff. Eowyn, Eomer, Theoden, there's lots of other ones too. The Witch King really benefits from speed. Haldir, everyone benefits from speed, because speed basically helps you in turn order. If you play D&D, you kind of know if you have a higher dexterity, you usually get to go first, right? In fighting, it's a similar thing, okay? In RiseToWar, just that's really simplified, but you get the point, okay? So hopefully that kind of helps you with your decision making as a new player to realize that you need to decide which commander you're going to use. You need to decide what kind of stat they need. And then when you're choosing your weapons, it's usually always better to go with things that can be strengthened versus not, okay? So again, as we go up the ladder, this strengthened dagger is probably better to use even with a focus commander because of just the flat speed increase and other stuff than just this basic level one. Unless you're using elves. This one might be better because it gives +5 to elves at level 1 speed. But now if we compare this one to this one, of course the gold one by itself with no upgrades is going to be better than the purple one with no upgrades. And this gold one is technically better than probably this one too, okay? So granted, we could look at it, it's 10 less speed, but we get 5 more we get 5 focus, and then we get +1 attack for men and elves. Flat numbers of attack is really strong in this game. So just flat HP, +5 HP is crazy, right? +3 attack is super good for a certain unit type. Okay, so those are good stats. And not to mention this one, every time your commander performs an attack, there's a 50% chance to do focus damage, modified by the focus stat. So again, if you're using Merry and Pippin, that would help you, right? Every time they do their basic auto, because every commander has a basic auto most of the time, they will trigger this 50% of the time, okay? Again, it's hard. It's a hard choice. So always, the blue one is kind of situational. It depends on if you really have nothing else. If you can get a purple item to max strengthens, or at least 3 or 4, it's going to be always better than the blue items, okay? And if you've also gotten to 3 or 4, it would probably most of the time be better than just a single gold item. Now you might be asking, well, Zollin, why do you have 2 gold items that are single items with no upgrade stars on Haldir? Well, if I actually click on these real quick and compare, I don't have really enough purple helmets to even refine one nicely. I technically could make a really nice horse helm on this account, which I probably will do, but the issue of that is when you're strengthening with horse helms, since I only have, I would have to use these 2 and then use refines. And what I mean by that is normally when you strengthen something, an item, when you strengthen it, you can use any helmets that are the same tier level. So any purple helmet I can use to strengthen the horse one, even itself. But with refining, you have to use the exact same named item to refine it. So in this case, I want to be able to use all these helmets to refine this horse helm. So I need more other purple helmets to strengthen it, right? Because I could strengthen it 3-star, and then I could refine it a little bit, and I'll show you that right now in this video since we're doing it. So let's go to the items tab, and let's choose which horse helm I want to use. I could do one, again, you could choose the ability, right, for a new player. I refined, reduced mounted damage. That's really good. But a nice one, I just think this anti-resolve is such a good one. Everybody uses it. When you max it, it's pretty much 100%. You can click the little thing up there at the top, that book, And you can go in here and go in special effects and click the see max stats behind my camera here, little button, and you see madness 100% for the first 3 rounds. That's really good, because when your units get maddened, it's really bad. Unless your commander wants that. There's a certain commanders, but we're not going to get into that. You don't want that to happen most of the time. So let's go ahead and use this one. All right, so I'm going to say strengthen. I'm going to choose. Now remember, I want my horse helms to refine it later. So I'm going to go ahead and use this Arnor one. All right, I'm going to upgrade it once. Now, see, you can see the stats going up. So, all right, cool. So I got a little bit of stat boost, and now I can upgrade it twice again, but I only have, oh, I technically have this one. Oh, I could do it. I could do it. I might want to use my full helm too later. So for this example, we're just not going to. Now it's got 1 upgrade. So if you compare that 1 upgrade, let's sort by heads here, by helmets. That 1 upgrade compared to, let's say, a generic level 1 upgrade. If you notice here, the stats on this one is technically 2 byte higher, but you're also getting plus 10 speed and plus 6 horse defense if you're using mounted units. Any mounted units, not just horses. So in this case, it would probably still be better to use this purple one, right? But now if I want to refine it, there's a refine button down here behind my thing. You can see I can only use other horse helms to refine it, okay? So this is why I haven't just upgraded one of these helmets to max upgrades. I could do that, but I got lucky and I rolled in this free account a bunch of horse helms, so I'm just waiting to get other random purple helmets to upgrade it, strengthen it, and then I can refine it with the ones I were lucky to get early and just get a fully upgraded and refined horse helm, which would be great right on the account. So hopefully that answers your question. That video was a little longer. I realized I wanted to deep dive into a couple other little things there so you guys don't get confused, right? You kind of, if you're a brand new player with the game. So, but really your goal is to just summarize, is that if you can get a purple item to 3 strengthens, which are the silver stars, and refines are the gold ones that go over the silver ones, okay? So technically this one with 2 gold is double strengthened, double refined. And again, you can't refine a weapon until you've strengthened it, okay? You can only refine it as much as it's been strengthened. Little side note there for you. So, but in this case, I didn't really have any other helmets, so I went ahead and threw on the elf helm because it had a nice buff of plus 5 stats there and a flat 10 focus, which is really a lot better than what I'm going to get on, like, this one's pretty good too, but still, overall, since I'm using elves, this purple one's going to be better, and I really don't have a purple one to use, so I gave him a flat, just single gold helmet, okay? Now, if I was going to do the weapons here, again, it's kind of similar. The Noldor sword versus the, you can see the comparisons here, the double upgrade, the triple upgrade 1 refine here versus the no upgrades, no refines on the gold one. As you can see, the might is higher on this one. The focus is higher on this one by a lot. The speed is higher on this one, and this one gives plus 10 speed to elves. Now, granted, the other one is still good. It's a plus 1 damage. That's good. But then you look at the abilities, too. Technically, one on the left is better for people that need focus, which is why I gave it to Arwen, because I didn't have another purple item for her. And Haldir benefits more from speed and might. So I gave him the one ability that's normal attacks, 50% chance to do extra physical damage, okay? So usually you're going to go for the one you can upgrade more, okay? That's pretty much the bottom line of this video and subject. Don't underestimate upgrading things. So if you only have single purple items, you're probably going to want to go for a fully upgraded blue one. If you can upgrade your purple one a bunch, you're going to probably want to do that over a single gold one. Some exceptions to that rule, but that's what you, as a new player, that's what you want to aim for, okay? And this video should have helped walk you through that thought process. So that's about it. I think we covered that pretty thoroughly. I feel like I didn't miss anything for you guys. I have lots of other guide videos in the same playlist. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more information on this stuff and guides. And I love LOTR here on this channel, and Lord of the Rings Online, and which is another MMO we play, and just Tolkien in general. We do lots of Lord of the Rings stuff on this channel. So I will see you all in the next episodes of Voice of the Rings. Baruch Hazad Kuzad menu. And thank you to my wonderful patrons for their support. And I'll see you guys in the next ones. Enjoy.